Hello, I'm Dani Valent. We're here at State Library Victoria for Future Founders Festival, celebrating migrants who are in business, young entrepreneurs who are making waves and doing great things. I am so excited to be here with Tasia and Gracia. Hi ladies.
Hi Dani.
Do you want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Tasia and this is my sister Gracia.
And we're from Makan in Melbourne restaurant.
So we're here today to cook an amazing Indonesian dish. Do you want to tell us the name of the dish?
So today we're going to be cooking a Jakarta dish called Ketoprak, or a vermicelli noodle salad with tofu and peanut dressing.
Amazing. And just so we get to know you a little bit better, if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Noodles, definitely noodles.
Rice, like any rice dish. Like I love it.
Love it. And when you were kids, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I actually want to become a chef, but because I study psychology and I was supposed to go down that path. But now I guess I can call myself I'm a home cook, and a chef.
I wanted to be a scientist, which is what I studied, but I've always had a passion in cooking.
Amazing. Well, I think food brings in psychology, it definitely brings in science. So I feel like, you guys are just, fulfilling all kinds of dreams. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having us. We're so excited to show you one of our favorite dishes.
Well, I'm so excited too. I feel like there's so much for people in Australia to learn about Indonesian food. A lot of people, of course, have an Indonesian background, but lots of us don't. And I feel like there's so much to know, isn't there?
There is. I think being such a large archipelago, Indonesia, there's so many different regions, and every region have different type of food or cuisine in its own.
Yeah. So which region are you guys from?
So Tasia and I are from Jakarta. So our family's actually quite a mixed background. We cook a lot of Japanese food, but my heritage is Chinese as well as Arabic. So we have a lot of those kind of influences in our cooking. Yeah.
Amazing. So the food at Makan, tell us a little bit about that. Is that drawing lots of different influences?
Yes. I think we want Makan to sort of be different sort of parts of provinces from Indonesia. So there's a lot of from Padang, from Jawa, from Bali, and that's what we want. We want to sort of get people to try the different parts of Indonesia in Makan.
So exciting. It's so many great ingredients in front of us. I know the flavours are going to be amazing. So we'll keep chatting as we go, but do you want to tell us about the dish you're going to make today?
Yes, so this is a very exciting dish. It's one of the dishes that we had in Makan when we first opened. So it's Ketoprak, which is...
So it's actually, the word in itself is abbreviation of all the ingredients that goes in it.
Yeah.
So the ket kind of translates to ketupat, which is rice cakes.
Yeah.
The to, which is actually from tahu and toge, which is bean sprouts and tofu. And the prak is actually kind of like a Jakarta slang of saying, I think, geprak, which means to smash or to kind of mold things together.
Oh, I love it. So the name of the dish, it tells its story as well. Yeah. Is that a common thing in Indonesia, that you have these sort of mash-up names that tell the story?
Yeah. Yes, I think a lot of the ingredient, like dishes names, just kind of from the way things are cooked, or like whether the sound of the way things are cooked, or like that popping sound or something like that. So it's quite creative, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. It's so fun. It really throws you into the whole experience. Okay, so tell us a bit about the dish. Like, is this something that you would have like as a complete meal? Is it a side dish? Is it something you'd share in the middle of the table? How does it all work?
I think the great things about this dish is that it can be a breakfast, a lunch, a snack, and a dinner. It's like a complete meal because we have the carbs from the ketupat, which is the rice cakes, and some of the vegetables. So it is actually an all-rounder day dish or dinner. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Well, do you want to put it together? Get smashing, bashing, and throwing things together.
So the first thing that Gracia is going to do is she's going to make the peanut dressing. It is a similar to, do you know gado-gado before? So it's a similar dressing as a gado-gado, but it's not as thick. And we are adding some tamarind. Of course, chili is a very important sort of ingredient in Indonesian cooking. Do you like it spicy?
Yes.
Okay, so we might going to put more chili
like
than our usual.
So actually in Jakarta, the dish comes, the vendors are in a cart, and they always have the peanut already ready, and you can actually tell them, they'll ask you how spicy do you want it, and they have kind of this giant mortar and pestle, and depending on how spicy you want it, they can always add in more bird eye chili to the dish.
Okay. One thing I would just love to talk to you about is these peanuts are so dark roasted.
Yeah. Yes.
Is that like what's the thinking behind that?
So a lot of in Indonesian, a lot of the sauces, especially when it comes to the peanut dressing, they actually deep fry the peanuts to get it to very, very dark roast, as well as kind of get when you make it, the oil kind of releases as well.
Yeah. Amazing.
So a lot of so this has already been deep fried beforehand.
Because I love the color on them. I just feel like you can really see the flavor.
Yeah. So I might add some. So I've got the peanuts, bird eye chili, and I'll add some garlic in there. And Tasia's going to give me some dark palm sugar.
Dark palm sugar.
Again, we can see the flavor there too.
Yeah. So I think with every dish, Indonesian cuisine, you've got the kind of spice, the chili, the sweetness from the palm sugar, and we're going to add the sourness from the tamarind.
Brilliant.
And growing up, we used to just love eating it by itself because it's so sweet. And this is the darker one, which is like we just eat them by itself.
Yeah, like
really.
Tasia would just pick them, and Mom's like, "Stop it."
Okay, well, I feel like I have to do that.
Yeah, you need to try some.
You
It's
have to
really
try
nice.
it.
It's like
almost like
caramel.
Caramel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll put a bit of
Some salt.
It just dissolves into syrup
Yeah,
in the
it's so
mouth.
good.
Absolutely.
So this is the simple peanut dressing, which is what we love about it. It's also versatile. You could actually have it with any other vegetable. You don't actually have to make this specific ketoprak dish. You could have it as a dipping sauce. You could have it as like just as a side with anything really. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna make this into a. Yep. Yes, please. So just gonna add a little bit of liquid. So you want it to be quite smooth, smooth paste. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of water to this.
And is it important to add hot water?
Yes. So you want it to kind of thicken. It helps thicken it a little bit as well. So I'll just put that there. So traditionally, you'd actually mortar and pestle this to a fine paste. We'll just kind of cheat a little bit and do it, and then kind of just mix it in there afterwards. Yes, please. Just a little bit more water.
Oh, it looks amazing.
It's pretty easy. Like it's no cooking. There's no cooking needed compared to like when you make satay sauce. You need to kind of cook it and let the oils release. This one, it's quite simple. Yeah, I think that's fine. Are you happy with that, Tasia?
Yeah, let me just try it. How hot?
More chili?
More sugar.
More sugar.
Oh, it's quite hot.
So you don't want to make it too sweet here because we're going to actually add kecap manis, which is one of the ingredients Indonesians use a lot in their cooking. It's a sweet soy sauce, kind of like a thick molasses almost.
I love ketchup mayonnaise.
And what's Indonesian fried rice or nasi goreng, it's what gives it that dark color.
Right.
It's the kecap manis. Or else they'll just not call it nasi goreng. It'll just be fried rice. So
Okay.
So a good memory of this dish is actually they come in the cart, and every morning, well, Tasia, it's one of her favorite dishes.
One of my favorite.
Should wait outside my grandma's house and be like, when are they coming?
Yeah,
like,
because you never know what it is. It's the same sound, and it could be like a bakso, which is a meatball soup. I'm like, no, that's not what I want. I want the ketoprak.
Just transfer this to here. So we have these kind of bamboo pestle.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
So the paste usually comes already ready. In the vendors, they're already like kind of like this paste. And you kind of just mix in the remaining of the ingredients. So we've got the kecap manis.
I'll cut some of the...
Add a little bit of water.
And so would you say your style of cooking, it's very much to taste, like you're not measuring ingredients, it's like really responding to the flavors in front of you, or whether someone likes it spicy or a bit more sweet, that kind of thing?
Yes. And which is sort of the challenge that we have at the restaurant, because Gracia and I do not come from like a culinary background. So, you know, when we open the restaurant, we need to make sure we have a recipe that other chef can also make, which was very difficult. So we have to measure everything. But then I always tell everybody, like, whoever whatever cooking, salt and sugar will be to taste. But but even like, for example, like this, we sort of just throw in what's there. But that was one of the biggest challenge that we both had.
Exactly. And even when it comes to certain recipes, depending on certain seasons, chilies are hotter in the summer.
Yeah.
So, and as well as the palm sugar, because you get them, we get them imported from Indonesia, like the palm sugar. Some certain palm sugar, just based on the color, you can tell how sweet or how much sweeter it'll be.
Yeah. So you have to really relate to the ingredients. Yeah.
So I'll just add a little bit of salt.
It looks beautiful. It's so glossy. And I think that the dark palm sugar and like the dark fried peanuts, you can really see all those oils coming through. And yeah, it looks incredible. I just feel like I could eat that on just about anything.
Have you had this sort of take before, ketoprak?
I don't think so. When I see it all put together, I'll let you know for sure. But I'm loving what I'm seeing in front of me.
I'm gonna add a little bit more kecap manis.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about your story. Like, when did you come to Australia? What did you think you were coming here for? Did you imagine you were going to have a restaurant?
Gracia and I grew up in Indonesia. We were born there until I was 10 and Gracia was 9. Luckily, our parents, my dad is a geologist. So as a family, we all moved to Darwin and we lived there for 2 years. And then we lived in India for 5 years.
Wow.
And when Gracia was 16 and I was 17, we moved to Melbourne. So Melbourne is home, but we're lucky to sort of been living at different places.
Yeah, that's incredible. And do you feel like you've picked up food influences from all those different countries?
Of course.
Yeah. Darwin is such a melting pot in itself.
Exactly. I think moving to Darwin wasn't such a shock to us because, I think temperature was quite similar to Jakarta, and it wasn't so far away as well. But it was kind of, we come from a family of 5 girls. So, and during the trips, my dad would take, like when he goes to site, it'll be just the 6 of us, like us 5 girls and my mom. So a lot of, I think, would miss home so much. And that's when kind of food got introduced to us from such an early age because, we'd always be like, well, Oma used to cook this for us, like Oma is grandma. It's like, what? And then so mom would be like, okay, well, she'll try to learn.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, I think mom only started learning how to cook when she left Indonesia because, she was like, now she's left with the 5 girls to cook and my grandma's not there. So a lot of the cooking was kind of started from quite a young age, I think. And I remember Tasia and I first trying to cook our own first fried rice.
Yeah.
And it was just throwing things.
That was like the first dish we ever made.
And we were just like, oh, this tastes like, it tastes like what it's like back home. And
that must have been so satisfying. Wow, incredible.
And back then, there was not many Asian groceries in Darwin. So every time we go back to Indonesia, mom would pack like kilos and kilos of ingredients just to bring it over. So she she had the basic things to cook like ABC kecap manis. Now it's available in supermarkets, but back then it wasn't. You'd have to bring bottles and bottles of it from. Want to taste this?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll get Dani to try as well the sauce. Is it spicy?
I think you can go a little bit more spicy, but I think we're okay.
I think we're okay for kind of a lunch meal.
It's so good. The chili comes through at the end, but there's that sweetness as well.
And then you've got that sour element as well. So pretty much this is the sauce already like done. And so it's got the peanuts, the garlic, the chili, tamarind, and the palm sugar. Added a little bit of the mukut lime juice in it. So, and then now it's time to assemble the salad.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy.
So we sort of going to be adding the vermicelli noodles that we already sort of done in hand. So Gracia, you want to mix? And I'll cut some tofu. You could use different kind of tofu. This is just the puff tofu, but the firm tofu is fine as well. And we're going to be adding some cucumber as well.
Freshness.
Yeah. So I'll just cut this guys while you mix together. What do you want first?
Yeah, sure. I'll put the vermicelli noodles. So these are just the vermicelli noodles which we've softened ahead of time.
Yeah.
Scissors. Thank you.
I'm glad to see that it's okay to cut noodles like that. Because they can be really hard to wrangle sometimes.
And then you can add the tofu puffs.
Yeah.
I'll just do this.
And Gracia, do you want to pass me
cucumber?
the cucumber? And what else do you want to add? Oh, and the egg. Oh, ketupat.
Yeah. the rice cakes. So these rice cakes, or ketupat, they're the ones that we get in Australia comes in a, like you can make it on your own, or they come in a packet and they've got the rice, just normal jasmine rice. Occasionally they put a bit of glutinous rice to kind of help it bind together.
Yep.
And you've kind of, the idea is you boil it past cooking so that it compacts and it forms these rice cakes.
Right.
And you gotta wait, once you boil it, you gotta hang it and let all the water drain and cool before you can cut it.
Okay.
Ketupat is quite a popular dish traditionally in the local markets.
Yeah.
They actually get these pandan or palm leaves woven into diamond shapes.
Yeah.
And you can kind of pack it with rice and the whole thing goes in boiling water.
Yeah.
And cook it for 3-4 hours until it kind of, adds flavor as well when it's in with the leaves.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. And then it's during Ramadan it's quite a popular dish to eat because it's the theme.
It's one of the celebration dishes.
So you'll eat in the evening.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So you've got the ketupat in there. Sorry. Just gonna get a few. Thank you. And then we can just kind of mix it in the sauce.
And so you try to get a bit of the sauce through all the noodles and through all the ingredients. Just really juice it up.
Yeah.
And it depends. If you want to make it hotter, you can add more chili, or I usually just add some chopped chili, bird eye chili.
So when you would get it and you'd be waiting for the cart to come by to give you this dish, what would they serve it in?
So they would just serve it in like brown sort of
Paper.
It's like a greased oily paper.
Yeah.
And they would wrap it, and it's like a treat for me. I think it's something that I had when I was little, so it's a nostalgic thing.
Yeah, I can promise I never had any carts with something so delicious going past my house when I was a kid.
And you'll just it's kind of like the ice cream truck.
Yeah.
And you'll be waiting for all these savory foods to come
Savory
through
food.
at
And-
any hour.
Yeah, and they go till 11 in the night.
So always well fed, I think.
Yeah.
That and my grandma's always, Tasia and I, our grandma's such a big cook that she's always cooking. She's constantly in the kitchen. She'll feed you breakfast, and during breakfast she'll say, "What's for lunch?"
Yeah.
And then you're eating lunch, and she's like, "What's for dinner?" And you're like, "We're still eating."
No, this is my kind of person. I'm always thinking about the next meal. Don't you go to bed thinking about breakfast?
Yes, I do that too. Tasia does that a lot.
Yeah.
So we're gonna finish off with just
Some
boiled eggs. So with the egg element in ketoprak, sometimes people make an omelet or just a fried egg. So it's kind of, that's why they say ketoprak is such a, it's a breakfast food almost, because it's got the carbs and it's got everything else.
I think something we, like in Western culture, we don't do very well is spicy breakfast. I think spicy breakfast sets you up so well for the day.
Yeah.
Agree. Should we just put it on this plate, Isa?
Yeah. Or you want to hear? Maybe here.
Up to you. Okay.
So we'll just transfer it here for plating. So this is pretty much it. It's pretty easy, straightforward. Like everyone can make it at home, and all the ingredients is available at the local supermarket. So yeah, I think it's a really nice treat to have. And we also serve it with some garlic crackers. Do you want to try some? So this is the Indonesian kind, but if you're not able to source this, you can actually get just like normal like chips in the supermarket as well.
Right.
So kerupuk or the kerupuk or crackers, it's pretty much served with any dish, Indonesian dishes. It's kind of like almost like the things you soak up the sauces with. And there's so many different types of kerupuk here. For the ketoprak dish, it's the garlic crackers, and they actually, certain kerupuk is actually based on the dish. So that's how people kind of, it's everyone knows what crackers go with a certain dish.
Oh, really? I love it.
So we're just gonna some boiled eggs and
just
finish,
to finish
off with some fried shallots and just some ketchup mayonnaise. So there you go.
That is outstanding. Oh, I feel like I've had a real dive into your culture and I've learnt a beautiful dish. I really feel like I can make this at home. I think my kids would love it.
Yeah.
Doesn't take too long. All the ingredients, as you say, are pretty accessible. Yeah. So thank you so much for this dive into Indonesian culture. So tell us about opening your business. How did that all start?
It all started from Tasia and I entering My Kitchen Rules, the cooking show. And when we won, I think we wanted to try that pathway or the career pathway of where food was going to take us. So before opening Makan, Tasia and I explored, by doing food demonstration or doing recipe development, and for about 2 years until we found the right partners to open Makan restaurant. Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of people love cooking, but it takes a certain very special person to think they can go on a food show and present their food to the world like that. What inspired you to do that?
Well, I think, as a family, food's always been such a culture to us.
Yeah.
And Tasia, our family challenged us, saying that I think we always fight.
Yeah, we always argue. So they're like, oh, you're not going to make it the first round.
You're not going to make it. You're just going to kill each other off.
Yeah.
So, and then we got on it and we kept on cooking. And I think we found that one thing that we always agreed on was flavor of food.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we didn't know, and we just sort of try our best, and we won, which is it leads to whatever it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that you guys have done, and kept doing is bringing Indonesian food to a broader audience, like expressing the diversity of it and, how much, background there is, in the sourcing of the ingredients, the way dishes are put together, even the way that dishes are named. Like, there's so much to learn. Do you feel like you're servicing an audience here in Australia, people from Indonesian background, or do you feel like you're sort of doing this outreach project to the broader community?
I think both. We want to sort of make the Indonesian here in Melbourne to sort of remember there is food like home, whereas also we want to educate the other sort of guess who there is more than Indonesian food than nasi goreng and mie goreng, which a lot of people only know those, or rendang or satay. And that's what, even at Makan, we name the dishes in Indonesian. So we want to help, we want to kind of instill in their memory there is like babi guling, or there is like ikan jimbaran or bakwan, which is like Indonesian dishes.
Amazing. I love working in food because you never stop learning. Every day I'm learning new things. I absolutely love it. What is something that you would love people to know about Indonesian food?
I think just how much there's so many ingredients that go to what looks like a simple dish.
Yes.
And kind of for us, I think it was just trying to we wanted to share with people the experience we have with food growing up, and kind of just how special it is to us, and the certain how each ingredient is such a highlight in Indonesian cuisine.
So we would love to inspire other people to start businesses, or to to really chase their dreams, and think about what you've done and be inspired. What's some advice that you could give someone who's got this, a great idea, maybe wants to start a side hustle or even open a restaurant like you? What could you tell them?
I think don't be taken back with sort of like a short back in a way. With Makan, for example, it didn't, it was a lot of challenge that we both faced, and there's a lot of, setback, but never get that be in a way.
Yeah, as in, I think always I think if the motivation's there, follow through with it. And even if it's, I think Tasia and I, when it comes to Makan, I think trying to, put the dishes on the menu, some doesn't really, it's not successful dish on the menu, and you don't pack up and be like, okay, we're done. There's, you're be willing to continue and push forward.
And do you think it's been helpful to have each other through this process?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think the great thing, a lot of people's like, is there okay to have two head chef? And I'm like, why? I can, because yes, of course, not everybody, but I think because she's my sister, and we sort of bounce ideas. We both created a menu, and we have similar, I guess the same palette of flavors, and we grow in each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we help each other. Even though we argue in the kitchen, but I think, what family
Tasia and I argue, and we're like, not now, in the cool room.
But it's great. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Amazing. I suppose not everyone is going to be so fortunate as to have a sister they can start a business with. If someone doesn't have that special person in their life, how would you suggest that they go about getting the advice that they need? What else could they do?
I think Tasia and I were quite lucky. When we opened Makan, we had a really good business partner. We're not from the culinary background, nor did we have the business background. So finding the right partners in going into building Makan was a really, really a great help. I think Tasia and I owe a lot of it to our business partners to teach us the business. And one of our business partners is a chef, so she taught us a lot of translating what is home cooking to a
to
commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of sort of support out there for, if you want to get help or reach out. I think,
I think they'll be surprised when you just kind of ask someone for help, how much people are willing to help you with, advice or...
Yeah, I think that's so true. I think we've especially found through this whole pandemic period that people love to help. They just need to know how. Like, what is it that you need? So I suppose one lesson could be, don't be afraid to reach out and to ask for help, no matter what it is, whether it's business advice or do you like the flavour or do you think this sounds good the way I've written it on the menu? So I suppose, I guess just need to be open to all the resources that are out there.
Yeah, exactly.
As well, and I think kind of like when you reach out to someone, they're not there to see you fail. They really genuinely want to help you. And a lot of the things is Tasia and I would, test a lot of the food to so many different people and be like, do you like it? Like, do you think the market is good for this? And, we're constantly, I guess, learning and
I love it. So do you feel like you are constantly learning in your business?
Yeah, definitely. Constantly
learning.
Every day.
Every day. And like we learn a lot from like even, we've got our sous chefs and stuff like that, and they're from a culinary background, so they'll be like, this will be a more efficient way to do things, and we're like, that's great, because Tasia and I are home cooks, so things do take longer, or we've never cooked for such a massive scale in the past where
Interesting. So it feels like you're saying you've got to have this balance of a really strong vision, but also a willingness to adapt and learn.
I think that's the key. I think with a lot of chefing, you need to be learning every day. If not, then I think it might not have, there's no motivation there, I guess.
Amazing. Well, I think you guys are incredible. I'm so excited for what you've achieved, and I know it's only going to go from strength to strength. So tell me what I'm going to expect when I taste this dish.
So Ketoprak, so the peanut dressing is quite rich. It's got a little bit of the tanginess from the tamarind, the sugar, palm sugar, and the sweet soy sauce,
and of course chili.
And just a fresh dish.
Okay, can I get stuck in?
Yes.
All right. So with these crackers, do you sort of pile it on, or is
pile it on.
Yeah.
A
Okay.
little bit of everything.
All right. So you're not going to mind if I make a mess, are you? All right. So I've just got to get a lot of flavour. I want to get a bit of that cucumber. Okay. I'm going in. Could get messy, but I know it's going to be good. All right. Oh, it's all going on. I love it. It's a real flavour explosion. But it's so well balanced, it's delicious. It's going to set me up for a great day.
Yeah.